The new manufacturers. We got Alpine, Lamborghini, and Isotta Franchini coming into the sport next year. Lamborghini has got a 1-car entry. Isotta Franchini's got 1-car entry. And Alpine's got a 2-car entry. Out of those 3 manufacturers, I guess my question is, what can we expect with them being a year behind these other manufacturers jumping into Hypercar? What can we which team do you think is going to thrive maybe at the early part of the season, mid-season, by the end of the year? What is there to expect, or what is there to achieve for these teams, considering that they're in such a disadvantage coming into the season?
So I'm also going to go on a limb here, and I'm just going to straight up say Alpine. And the only reason why I say that is because maybe, okay, first off, F1 cars and their open wheel setups obviously are a lot different than the hypercars that are going to be in WEC, right? But there's also a lot of similarities when it comes to setup and suspension setups as well, or suspension ideologies, I guess you'd say. I think that with the connections that they have in F1 with the Alpine racing team, yeah, they're going to be at a disadvantage, no doubt about it. But I think that with their connections within the F1 world, they might have just that upper edge versus the other 3 teams that are starting out as well. So I'm going with Alpine. I think Alpine's going to have the best performance out of the new teams here, and it's purely going to be based off of their connections in the F1 world.
Yeah, I agree. I love the Alpine driver lineups. They're
and the drivers.
Yeah, exactly. They're the Alpine French team. We see it in Formula One, right? Esteban Ocon, Pierre Gasly, both French drivers under the French manufacturer, French team. It's a French team. Guess what they go do in the World Endurance Championship? They bring in 4 French drivers, and then they bring in a Monegasque driver, which is basically France. I mean, if you think about it, it's basically France. And then they bring in Mick Schumacher, is the only one that's not from like a French-ish lineage. I love it. I love the brand identity that Alpine has. Alpine has basically just said, we are going to represent France in the motorsports racing world. And that's a story you can get behind, right? Yeah. I mean, that is the equivalent if Cadillac decided to just go hire 3 American drivers to go run next year for them. And that could be something the whole nation could get behind. It's an American manufacturer, an American team, American drivers going and competing. That's what France has. And I love that aspect of them. And their drivers are just amazing. I think that having the 2 cars next year is going to be a huge positive compared to Lamborghini and Isotta Franchini, because they have 2 data points of entry to learn from. They're going to have 2 different strategies they can set up in one race, and they can try out both strategies. And by round 3, 4, they're going to have a lot of data points to look at to be able to make their strategies better, maybe improve on their cars, and improve throughout the season. I guess just because you're taking Alpine, and I agree with you 100% on all the points you make, I'm actually going to look at Lamborghini here. Lamborghini is trying to make starts in IMSA and the World Endurance Championship next year, which I think is a huge positive as well. That's going to give them a huge advantage. They're not going to be running the full schedule in IMSA. They're going to be running just the endurance races. But I think Lamborghini is a team that they might not hit the ground running like Alpine, I believe, will outperform them in the first couple rounds. But I think by the end of the season, Lamborghini is going to make huge strides, and they're going to be a force to reckon with by the end of the season to compete for getting points at the end of the year and maybe climbing up through the manufacturer ranks and then being able to maybe have a potential chance to win a race by the end of the season. I mean, that's a really dark shot a big shot in the dark there, but I think it's possible. And I'm really excited to see what Lamborghini does. And I guess if I'm going on an aesthetic appeal, I love the look of the Lamborghini. I think it is the second best looking hypercar right behind the Peugeot. And I think BMW is a tight third. And that's another manufacturer we didn't even mention running in World Endurance Championship next year, BMW. Can they translate the success they found at the end of the season in IMSA, run that over into the World Endurance Championship? I think that's yet to be seen. Do you have any expectations for BMW, or are we?
Of course. Yeah, no. You absolutely can put BMW in a mix where, they're fighting for a podium position. I don't think that's far-fetched at all. No.